Okay, it's now live streaming. Welcome everyone to today's Wednesday, 30th of April Council, Kaipara District Council meeting at Taharoa. So without any further ado, we'll go into the apologies we have from Gordon Lambert. Is there any other further apologies? Okay, can I have a mover for that?
Yep, move.
I'll second it. Oh, thank you. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Confirmation of the agenda. I'll move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Naya, thank you. Those in favour, please say, raise their hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. No conflicts of interest out there to declare today? No. Okay. Moving on to the public forum, I'd like to welcome Libby Jones to the public forum today, and she wishes to talk about the proposal to close the boat ramp at Lake Taharoa. Welcome, Libby.
Good, thank you. Thanks very much for the opportunity to speak with you today on alternatives closing the big boat ramp at Taharoa. I'm Libby Jones and I'm here with Rose Coles and Colin Rouse. We are local Kaipara residents from Paparoa, Omamari and Dargaville, and we have with our families, friends visited and stayed at Kaipara Lakes over many decades. We are campers and we use motorised and non-motorised boats. We love Kaipara Lakes for its many recreation, cultural, spiritual and environment features. Nobody can deny we want to avoid the gold clan coming to Kaipara waterways in our beautiful Kaipara Lakes. KDC and TDGC are to be commended for putting in place good signage and boat checking systems over the busy summer period where more of the out-of-area watercraft have been visiting. We also support mana whenua aspirations for greater protection of our lakes. Lake Taharoa is the last lake in Kaipara still currently available for powered watercraft, water skiing and wakeboarding. The lakes are really important recreational lakes for our district. NRC is suggesting closing the boat ramp on Lake Taharoa for powered boats only and undertaking education and awareness checks on non-motorised crafts like kayaks and waka. Closing the boat ramp at Lake Taharoa to powered boats will not eliminate the risk of gold clam. It is only a partial mitigation strategy, as gold clam and its larvae can travel in water left in kayaks, on sails of sailboats, on waka armour, on paddle boards, on windsurfers, on fishing gear or on trailers, as well as on motorised boats. It is thought it can also be spread by other human activity. Boating of all descriptions brings much tourism and income to the Dargaville area. Sea Scouts, for example, with their small yachts, come from all over the North Island to camp at Lake Taharoa each year. They could not use the lake without having their powered boats for safety patrols. Community groups would also be impacted by no powered boats, such as the Bailey's Beach Surf Lifesaving Club, who did the safety patrol with their motorised IRB for the swim leg of the recent triathlon. The club was paid $3,000 for it, so it's an important fundraiser for them. If Lake Taharoa is to be closed for powered boats to reduce the risk of gold clam, then all three Kaipara lakes would need to be closed to all vessels, powered or non-powered. We don't believe anyone would want that, and that would be very hard to manage. So the current situation out of Northland, it is smart for us to learn the lessons from further south to avoid the risk of gold clam getting into our lakes. Lake Karapiro on the Waikato River is currently infested with gold clam. It has various watercraft, motorised and non-motorised, from all over New Zealand using the waterways. Primarily, more than 90% of those boats are non-motorised, including rowing, dragon boats, waka armour and canoes. At the time of infection being detected in May 2023, there were no public washdown facilities suitable for killing gold clam. Currently, as a response to the Waikato infestation, the 14 Te Arawa lakes in the Bay of Plenty have a controlled area notice, a CAN, which does not ban any powered craft. The CAN states that in addition to the check, clean, dry requirements, any boat that has been in the Waikato River in the previous 30 days must be cleaned at a designated wash station before entering the water. One of the lakes, Lake Okataina, has additional requirements that all boats must be cleaned at a designated wash station in Rotorua before entering the lake. There's other unrelated issues that we want to address. The NRC report notes that shoreline instability can be attributed to motorised craft, with no evidence from NIWA or other monitoring to support this statement. It is also not relevant to the management of gold clam. We would like to suggest that people go to Lake Taharoa when a storm is in place, such as recent Cyclone Tam. The waves they will see that buffet the shore are far more extensive than any boat wakes on the lake for a few months of the year. Evidence has also shown that Cyclone Gabrielle has had a huge impact on the lakes. So our suggested solutions. We strongly believe there are other ways to approach the prevention of gold clam coming to Kaiwi lakes. Number one, set up a designated wash station before any watercraft can enter the water. This is the only way to ensure no gold clam can enter Kaiwi lakes. Support a CAN, it's a controlled area notice, to prohibit all watercraft from infected Waikato River entering any of the 3 Kaiwi lakes for a set period. Include a watercraft cleaning fee with different fees for different craft and local versus out of region visitors to support the cost of management and monitoring. And education and checking should be extended to all watercraft. If the above suggestions are not supported and you do close the boat ramp temporarily, please, can you ensure that a date is set for it to be reopened? As our concern is that it would stay closed indefinitely and still the gold clam infestation would not be prevented. And also add an exception to Kaipara Northland boats. I guess we want to just emphasise that this is a long-term problem. It's come from overseas and it's a current problem in the Waikato. Northland has an opportunity now to set up a long-term prevention solution, and we don't believe that closing the boat ramp at Lake Taharoa for powered boats is going to help with that. No, my head.
Thank you, Libby. Is there any questions from members? Okay, Councillor Naya, followed by Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Libby. Thanks for an excellent presentation. I quite like the suggestions as well, but just a question. This designated wash station and the cleaning fee, would it not dissuade the people visiting it? An additional thing.
I think boats that people that use, people love Kaiwi lakes, but people that come there love it. And so if there's an understanding that this is a prevention strategy for gold clam, I think that's an easy education piece to let people understand the purpose of it. Like this, we've been talking for many years about management, better management at the lakes, and there is much better management now. The clean, dry checking and the things that are in place now, because there's other things that we don't want in the lakes. The gold clam's not the first to be prevented. People will respond to that. You'll get the odd ones that won't, and that's the same with anything. But I don't think we shouldn't be trying to legislate for people that, idiots. It's actually thinking about what's the bigger picture. And I think with education around that, that could work.
Thank you.
It works down in Lake Taharoa, the lakes down in the Bay of Plenty. And an point that was made today as well is that there's a wakeboard lake, Lake Mangakino on the Waikato River that is primarily wakeboarding. It's powered boats. It's just down the river from Karapiro. It does not have gold clam. So it has not transmitted from the Karapiro to that. So our boats haven't done that.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Vincent.
Councillor Taupo, but
Yeah.
further south.
Councillor Vincent, you had a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thanks for your presentation, Libby. I appreciate that it's not just that you've highlighted a problem, but suggested some solutions. And one of the ones I'm interested in, suggestions, is form of licensing of Northland-based boats. How do you see the logistics of that working?
Come with the logistics, Matt. Well, that's a good question because boats are not licensed. That is a difference to other vehicles.
But they are, jet skis are, and that's been working for quite a few years now.
It's true, jet skis are.
And in Northland, Auckland and Coromina have been for years.
So I was wondering if there was some other model or template that we could follow to say, well, how we could go about achieving this in a reasonable timeframe. I
So
think
that
there would
would
be some
probably be worth
examples that we
investigating
could
that, hey?
draw upon.
Masters and Auckland, any paramedic who wants to talk to you.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question up there from Councillor Paparoa, followed by Councillor Howard.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions. So, thank you for your presentation today. Unfortunately, I can't see you because the camera is flipped towards the councillors. So my question is around one of the options that you proposed for a wash station. Are you aware that that's already been happening? Are you aware that it is at significant cost to our ratepayers? And are you aware of the water restrictions that are in place around the summertime when those wash stations are required? And are you aware of the still the risk around that runs with those wash stations and not being able to capture all the gold clam? I just noted that you made the unequivocal statement that those.
We've lost contact.
Firstly,
Can you just say that last thing again? You just went a bit crackly on that very last thing when you said I made an unequivocal statement.
yeah, so yeah, you made an unequivocal statement around the wash stations making sure that no gold clam enters the lakes, but that's not how. That's the wash station. There are a number of risk factors associated with those, which I've already touched on. The lack of water, which means that sometimes boats are not all of the boats are able to be washed, and that the workers only work certain hours. And when it's windy up there, they can't work. So there's a lot of boats that come in after the 4:30 close off. So yeah.
Just in combination, are you aware of those issues? I think that's the question.
I think what I would say to that is that this is in place in other parts of New Zealand. So that is where the detail of how it works and the bits of the parts that need to be looked at more specifically would need to be found. So I guess what just gone in my mind. So
How does the wash station work there at the moment at the lakes?
So the water station works, so it runs from a tank that's fed from the lake. So the lake feeds the tank.
You asked the question,
and
you
then
get the answers.
okay, so I don't think that it's not about putting water through because that's not going to get rid of the gold clam. There's other things that they use, and I believe that hot water and salt water, there's other things like that that can kill the gold clam. So
yeah, it's
whatever we
just
use now to clean off,
can I just,
Councillor Paparoa, can you let the person, let me finish your answer, please?
use now to clean
yeah, I
off
think we're
potential
just getting off
weed.
topic though.
Look, please, she is trying to explain to you what the answer to your question. Can you please allow her to finish?
Guess what I'm saying, Councillor Paparoa, is that I'm not an expert on the wash stations. But here we are in Kaipara with an opportunity to look at doing something that's going to prevent gold clam. That is one of the things that need to be considered. And Biosecurity New Zealand, and there's a working group including all the people that are involved in supporting biosecurity in lakes, riverways. They are the experts in that. They are the scientists. They are the people that can give us the advice that we need to make the best decision for Kaipara. So I'm not the person that can tell you what that is. So I'm aware that it's would need to be put in place and there'll be a cost to it. I'm not suggesting that that's all on ratepayers. NRC, Council, we've talked about some payment fees for users, and Foundation North. There might be other options of getting this in place for Northland, because this is, this is an important time. If we do it now, then we're going to be able to get preventing. If we leave it and just close the boats to motorised boats, then we're not going to prevent it. It's going to come on whatever else. It's going to come to Kaipara Lakes, and that's not what anyone here wants. So that's, I guess, my summary of that.
Thank you. Next question from
Thank you.
councillor
So my
Howard.
second question,
No,
sorry,
I'm sorry,
Sean, this is,
councillor Paparoa,
no,
you've had
this
your
is
question.
why,
Next question
no,
from
I
councillor
had two
Howard. Would you like
questions.
to
No,
mute
this is
councillor
why I
Paparoa? I'm
wanted to
tired of
try
the
to
interruptions.
intervene
No,
in the
sorry,
question time.
I've moved on to a question from
No,
councillor Howard.
no,
Now,
excuse
look,
me, I said that I had
would
two
you please
questions.
mute councillor Paparoa? I'm not going to put up with the insolence. Stop it, please. Councillor Howard.
This is unbelievable.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Libby. Thank you for your presentation. And it's great that you do have some solutions, that you've thought about that. Because NRC are so implicated in all of this, have you taken the presentation to them? And what response did you get?
Conversation with the biosecurity person who's putting the letter together, and she's interested in what we've got to say. I guess it was a little bit around timing because we knew that you had your meeting originally. This was on the agenda today, which is why we asked it in today. So we certainly can follow that up with NRC as well, and potentially the governance committee if that's more opportunity to be able to discuss further.
I've talked to Jack Craw, he's the biosecurity person. He asked me to talk to Nikki Fitzgibbon. I've talked to her and she's told me what they're doing. They're in the process of putting a letter together. They've presented it to the Taharoa Domain Governance Committee and is it to NRC as well and to Kaipara District Council, and you're just sitting. I understand that Kaipara District Council wants to let it lie and see what Biosecurity New Zealand want to do. So she talked about wanting to ban the boats and the other, talking about the wash is threw everything into it really to want to ban the boats.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. My one question, Libby, is are you able to make your presentation available for our members? Because this is an ongoing discussion that will be had for quite a while, I believe. Thank you very much.
Mark, through to all of you.
Yep.
Thank you.
You can forward that to us. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to 3.1, confirmation of previous open minutes. I'll move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Rachel Williams. Okay, all those in favour, raise their hands. Say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carried. All right, next on the agenda is Mangawhai Heads Reserve Concept Plan. I'm going to move that. Can I have a seconder? So, Larson. Okay, presenting this will be Jenny Rooney from staff.
Morning. I'm here today to present the Mangawhai Heads Concept Plan for adoption by the elected members. There's been considerable consultation with the community over the Christmas period of 3rd of December and to the 2nd of February, so that in line with that we were able to get the local residents plus people who are also coming to the area regularly and visitors. The report I take as read. It's the recommendations of the Mangawhai Heads Working Group, Mangawhai Heads Concept Plan Working Group, and open for any discussion.
Okay, is there any questions of Jenny, please? Okay.
I have
a question, Ash.
a small question. So have you considered what the submitters sent to us in this?
Yes, the staff have considered that and taken recommendation from the working group to form this report.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can't claim to be all over the issues involved with this, other than, but I do see we received a letter from Belinda Vernon just in the last 24 hours, expressing a concern about the way that it seemed to run contrary to the majority of the submissions on the issue of a commercial component. And how say you?
Yes, there was at the working group deliberations, there was some submitters who spoke to that, the commercial activity, and the working group actually made a recommendation to staff to include a indicative commercial activity area only on the plan.
That seems there were a number of submissions which were strongly opposed to that idea.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, I mean, we followed a fairly robust process here with public engagement and consultation. What happened was obviously the submissions were made. The deliberations panel, who were delegated by council to hear and deliberate on that, have heard all of the submissions, read all the submissions, and deliberated and made their decision to recommend to council. That's what's in front of you today. I can say that the deliberations panel in the deliberations meeting assessed all submissions and have made their recommendations based on that. And that's what's in front of you today.
Thank you. Okay, you can stand down, Jenny. Thank you. Mover's statement. Yeah, I think I've stated this before, how I found the submission process to be really worthwhile. It was varied. There were lots of good ideas. There was lots of opposing ideas, of course. And we deliberated on everything that was put forward to us. And I believe we came up with a settled reserve concept plan, which will protect us into the future for anything that may arise, and also understood the needs of both the community and particularly, I think, the Mangawhai Head Surf Club. I think they were well heard and listened to. So that was my statement. Second statement, Councillor Larson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I concur with those points. I thought it was really valuable hearing from submitters and understanding some of the finer points, and one of those was particularly around the importance of quick and good access down to Picnic Bay. And through that process, we made recommendations there to push ahead with getting that tidied up and established. So I think we've been through a pretty good process, and yeah, looking forward to the future of the area. Thank you.
Okay, other elected members wish to speak. Councillor Nair, followed by Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I attended those submitters' submissions and listened to them. I was actually sitting in the gallery. Obviously, it was not my committee. And I've read the letter which fellow Councillor Vincent has pointed out. There was a strong voice against the commercial property, even if it's indicative designation. The whole concept, it seems to me, has been done in so much haste. A presenter came to us, and less than a year, we have the proposal and everything, and Surf Club involved heavily. The lease we never know when it's going to be signed. So there's a negotiating ground with the mayor. So I'm quite disappointed by the way it has been handled. I think the voices have not been heard, and I will not be voting in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think there's a number of aspects to this, but we did have a good number of submissions that we've been through, for and against, on a number of fronts. And I want to repeat what this was done for. This was done for, one, to help the surf club get back in and operational, but it was to look at the potential needs for the community and the surf club in 30 to 40 years, with growth of the community in the area. And so it encompasses a number of elements that would happen as far as that goes. And I think that is a key point to look ahead and actually have some vision. It may not come into play, but at least it's allowing for things that could develop along the way. So I'll leave that point at that. The other point that I have raised in a letter, and I still haven't had an answer, is staff have advised that we've got an underspending budget for the upgrade of Picnic Bay. I think that's what they say, and that there's 120,000 left, and this is apparently sufficient to do the role. But I don't know that we've actually had a scope. Have we had a plan or anything to cost this on? So I hope like hell that we're not getting into a situation where we've got a dearth of funds up front before we start this. But in principle, I think that the process has been robust and totally agree with it.
Okay, Councillor Paparoa.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Yeah, I suppose what I want to read out is some correspondence that we received from the community. It's always good to hear firsthand from what their thoughts and, I suppose, in this instance, concerns are. It's a shame that they weren't, and I won't be mentioning their name, but it's a shame that they weren't able to attend the public forum today. So we received the email, dear councillors, I have read the paper you are considering at the meeting on 30 April relating to the Mangawhai Heads Reserve Concept Plan. As an oral submitter and having read the staff report to the working group following the receipt of submissions on the draft plan, I am extremely concerned to find that the working group has totally ignored the unanimous opposition from oral submitters and from a significant number of written submitters to the inclusion of an indicative area for a commercial building in the concept plan. The staff report to the working group clearly outlined the strong public opposition to the provision of a commercial structure. I understand you delegated authority to the working group to propose a plan for your consideration. However, I am very concerned that there is no reference in the report before you to indicate the strength of opposition to the provision of a commercial building. You need to be aware of the strength of opposition to the incorporation of built commercial activity in this reserve area. I note the provision is couched in terms of potential future use and may well not happen, but the fact that it is included in the plan when the opposition was so strong and you have not been made aware of this is deeply disappointing. The remediation work proposed for access to Picnic Bay near the existing access is necessary and urgent. This needs to proceed, but it would be a travesty if you were not also all very aware of the strong opposition to any future built commercial activity in the reserve. And so for those reasons, I would not be supporting this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to make a statement?
Yes, thank you,
Councillor Rachel Williams.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so we all received the correspondence. What I will say as a member of the working party and having read all of the submissions, I've gone through again this morning and looked at the positives that people had mentioned about this. There was also a lot of misunderstanding on what the commercial was. Some people thought it could be retail shops, it could be any manner of things. It's literally designating a space that could be used in the future. You know, we look at other places. Waipu Cove has a cafe, Ruakaka Beach has a cafe. Lots of places have these things. All we're doing is looking to the future, and this is nothing that KDC is bringing to the table. This will be, you know, something that will still have more consultation with the community. It's not something that's just going to appear there overnight. And I think that it's been a bit misconstrued what this area is being designated for. So I think we've been through a robust process, read all the submissions. I understand all of the community's concerns, but this is merely a upgrade on the reserve management plan to have some future forward thinking for that area.
Thank you, Nat.
Thank you.
Sorry. Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I was to look back on the records, I think I was one who voted in favour of this group, the panel being appointed to do the process that it's done. And this is the result, so I feel bound to follow it.
Thank you, Councillor Vincent. Any further comments? Okay, I get the right of reply here, I guess. Look, I think Councillor Rachel Williams took the words out of my mouth. There was a lot of misconceptions. People, I mean, I think the some thought that we were going to present a commercial, what's the word? Application or proposal or something, but that wasn't what it was about. So I think there was a lot of confusion in the process, and we recognised that when we deliberated. So thank you very much. I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour raise their hand and say aye. Aye. Against?
Division.
Against.
I have my vote recorded, please.
By division?
For division?
By division then. Yes, sir.
Councillor Howard,
For.
Deputy Mayor Larson,
For.
Councillor Anderson, Councillor Nair,
Against.
Councillor Paparoa,
Against.
Councillor Vincent,
For.
Councillor Williams, Councillor Wilson Collins,
Against.
Mayor Jepson.
For.
It's been carried.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is item 4.2, Mangawhai Heads Volunteer Lifeguard Service Lease Agreement. Can I have a mover for that, please? So that's a Larson, second, Councillor Howard. We have Fleur Denise and Glynis McCarthy presenting this item, please.
You're on their way, Mr. Mayor.
On their way.
Good morning. We're here to present the Mangawhai Heads Volunteer Lifeguard Service Lease Agreement proposal. I take it that the report is read. And if I was just to provide a sort of a high level summary of the paper, during the community consultation, 84 submissions were put in by the public. Of those, and the majority of the submitters expressed their support for the club to retain a lease in the area out at Mangawhai Heads. And certainly from the working group through the deliberations meeting, what they sought to do is to delegate authority to the chief executive and the mayor to negotiate and enter into a lease agreement with the club. That club would retain within its current footprint, that they would retain the current activities that they're doing, and that they would be looking to gain a maximum term of 33 years, which is the maximum that is available under the RMA. And certainly by doing that, that will provide some surety for the club going forward into the future so that they can continue their presence out at Mangawhai Heads. And as you know, that they do an invaluable service for the people that are using the beach out there. So any questions?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Glynis and Fleur, any questions, please? Councillor Nair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh, I just have one question. These people who are involved in Surf Club, the president and another man, I actually met them. Why they were turned away? Because they would have explained and shed some light on the lease or what issues are there.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, can you repeat your question? I don't understand what your question is.
There are two people from the Surf Club who came I met them actually.
David and Jess.
Would they be allowed to present before we do?
They are here to support the meeting. They haven't applied to speak in public input, Councillor No. So they are aware of the agenda and what's on it.
So it would be good.
That submission process has already occurred, Councillor Nair. They have had their opportunity to present and we heard them, and this is the combination of that presentation, basically.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just confused on one part, which is, I agree the 33-year lease is there, which is a good thing. But in the same breath, this is to be negotiated after, even if you approve it now, by the mayor CEO with the thing. I mean, the negotiating power is with you. So, which means it is not final. So,
yeah, Mr. Mayor. So Councillor Nair, this is a different process to the other LTOs and leases.
Mentioned that. I got the email.
Bear with me. They're on the council agenda. Okay. So because it's on a reserve, we've gone through a public process here. We've had hearings and deliberations again, like the previous item, and the steps are that the deliberations panel have provided direction as to what should be in the final lease. that drives and directs the Mayor and Chief Executive, myself, to do the next step. You can't negotiate the lease and bring it here until this step is made. So you as a council need to agree this today, and then we'll go and create the lease with the surf club along the lines that you've approved.
I understand the process. All I'm trying to ask in one simple way is the most interested party in the whole scheme of things, which was whether the Mangawhai concept had a concept plan or the lease, is the surf club. Have we listened to them?
Yes, we certainly have. Okay, any further questions?
Thank you.
Okay, I'll bring that, staff can stand down, thank you. Movers statement, Councillor Larson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, once again, I found this process really valuable. And I think the key thing that stood out through this was that the surf club needed security and length of tenure to be able to apply for funding to repair and to build the club for the future. And so I hope that getting this lockdown in place will help to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, following on Councillor Larson's points, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, this is all about this vision and planning for the next 30, 40 years and giving the club a basis, a solid base on which to go ahead and do the work that they need to do to meet the needs that they anticipate of increased membership and an increased requirement for equipment and storage, etc. for that. So fantastic. Well done, Surf Club.
Okay, any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor Naya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah. So I'm just voicing my concern to one of the presenters who is sitting here. I remember when the slip occurred, presented to us that why $2 million to slip remediation not included in a TP. They got their own money. They are trying to fix it. I think there's frustration, a lot of frustration with the surf club in the way the things are being handled. I think there's a bit of arm twisting involved, which obviously as a council we should not be doing. And I think the way forward is, I like to vote against it for the reason that it is not presented to councillor, the lease. And we don't know what the final lease is going to look like. So I have my reservation, and it has happened. We have, to say the least, many items discussed in the private or public excluded meetings, which are not known to people, and they are the things which are detrimental to ratepayers. So my earnest request is to other councillors is not just follow the process, but try to give something which is useful to the ratepayers, useful to the surf club. So I would like to, as I said, go against at this moment till I see. I think it should be represented. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for clarity, we have been through a process. We have heard the submitters, we've had hearings. We, as the working party, agreed to have the 33-year lease, or the longevity for the club, the funding and the planning purposes, and to give them tenure where they already are. So we've done that. This is the result of it. We're saying after we make this vote to adopt this recommendation, the council will be doing a lease document for 33 years with the surf club, with the chief executive and with the mayor. This is the next part of the process to make that happen.
I totally understand that.
No, sorry, at your side.
For clarity,
Councillor Williams is having her clarification and her.
I'm just trying to.
No, I'm sorry. You've had your input, Ash. No, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
So just to finish, this is the result of all of that hard work and listening to the community and the surf club. That's why I'll be voting for it today.
That's good. Good on you. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Paparoa, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, this has been a really lengthy, I suppose, and at times convoluted process, and I wish that we had have gotten on a lot sooner to be able to give the surf club some certainty around around the future, after what had transpired with the land and the slipping and insurance and all of that, those sorts of concerns and issues. It has been a very, very long process. And what I will say to this particular decision is that although we're not seeing the terms of the lease, I'm going to vote in favour of it purely so that we can get on with it and give them the agreement that they require so that they can get on and do the planning and the work that they need to do. But I'm also cognizant of the recommendation, and I hope and I do have full confidence in Jason, who's also equally being delegated the authority to enter into the lease on the proposed terms set out. I'm happy with the maximum 33 years. That gives enough consistency and enough certainty within the lease, and then it also gives the activities are quite open, and all-encompassing, and just really making sure that there's a lot of buy-in and a lot of buy-in from the surf club once the actual terms of the lease, have been finalised. And let's not make this difficult for the surf club, especially in this negotiation phase, and I'm happy to support it just so that we can finally put this to rest in this term. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paparoa. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, Councillor Larson, Deputy Mayor, right a reply.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hands. Say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is item 4.3, Kelly's Bay Improvement Society Corporation lease to occupy. We've got two of these, haven't we? Can we run them together? Same staff are talking to them? Yep. Okay, can I have staff, please? Ferdinand and Dennis McCarthy.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, you want to do Kelly's Bay and the Northern Wairoa Community Radio Trust together? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
So you're grouping them together, so if you can speak, team, to both, that would be great.
I'll move that. Can I have a second there? Councillor Larson. Okay. All right, let's speak to both of these now. They're pretty straightforward, I believe.
Kia ora all. So the first licence to occupy is for Kelly's Bay Improvement Society. They're a small community group down in the bay. There's a community hall down there that for a number of years they have been looking after through maintenance, through bookings, etc. They don't have a up-to-date licence to occupy with us. Similar to the last report, they're seeking surety from council for the LTO, which is just the building itself that sits on the land with a small area, a circumference around the building. I've noted it in the report, just to note to yourselves, is that Kelly's Bay is a really isolated area. They've got very little infrastructure down there, and this community hall forms a big part, well, the part really, the hub of that bay. So I guess if you can just be thoughtful around that as well. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, any questions regarding Kelly's Bay? Councillor Naya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, just one question. When we started the term, I was approached by these people to say that council is not doing this. This whole we need, and even used as emergency point in terms of when the Gabriel came. So it's very useful. Why it took so long to get to this stage?
Through the chair, sorry. There was some other work that happened down in the bay to do with the campground. They were once upon a time linked as one under KBIS. That's obviously been, well, not obviously, but has been separated out now. And we've got the Caravan Association, I think they're called, looking after that campground now, and we've separated it out, and now it's made it much easier for the KBIS just to have the hall And that's all they're going to look after going forward.
So if I may just to clarify from there. So this motor, is it the New Zealand motor caravans? You're operating it to your satisfaction?
Yeah, well, it's not in our department, that's in another department. And it's only started well, not that long ago, I believe. So, yeah, I can't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any further questions here, Councillor Howard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very simple question. Is the Kelly's Bay Improvement Society, probably says it in the name, they're responsible for the facilities that are there, repairs and replacement?
That's right.
Okay, no further questions. We'll move on to the second item that I've put together there, which is the Northern Wairoa Community Radio Trust Licence to Occupy.
Thank you. So on this one here, we were approached by the trust and them seeking somewhere to put their radio equipment. It's noted in the report that where it currently is, the land has got some potential future use, which has made their tenure down there, not strong. So they came to staff. They originally came and spoke to us about Harding Park, spoke to the governance committee there. Potentially something could have gone in that area there, but there is also already a lot of telecommunications and stuff up in there. And we seeked a different part of Dargaville. One of the questions that was asked by Councillor Howard was where we've chosen, why we put it, come to you with that, is council doesn't have a lot of high-lying land in Dargaville. As I said, Harding Park would have been one, but that's already got a lot going on up there. So secondary, we felt that, the plant on Hokianga would be the next best fit for them.
Thank you. Any further questions on that? Okay, thank you. You can stand down, staff. I'm not going to make a statement here. I think it's all pretty straightforward. Second is statement, Councillor Larson.
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add. Any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor Naya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very pleased that we are doing two good things, which rarely happens, to be honest. The radio station has been operating beautifully, and there's probably one source which gives some entertainment and also covers the field days. I'm also pleased about Kelly's Bay thing being finally documented after 2.5 years of to and fro. So yes, all for it. Thank you.
Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I must admit, I am very much in favour. The guys there, I've met a couple of times, are wonderful and very much engaged in the community, and that's important, that they need their transmission facility. I should say, I just hope that the location won't taint the ability, the quality of signal.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to make a statement?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to let you know I'm working on a playlist that's appropriate to the site. But
good for you, music man. Okay, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hands. So aye. Against, motion carried. Okay, before we have a cup of tea, we'll move on to 4.5, Paparoa Wastewater update and decision, April 2025. I'll move that. Can I have a seconder? A seconders? Oh, Councillor Howard? Yeah.
We get on the table.
Paparoa Wastewater update and decision, April 2025. Hayley Worthington, please.
Mr. Mayor, she's, Hayley's online today, so she'll be beaming into you. You can see her on the main screen there. Hayley, over to you.
Good morning.
allowing me to join online. I've got the lurgy. I don't want to spread that around the Tangatoroa Hall. I'll take the report as read. Obviously, Mark Schurz is the subject matter expert across this item, but he's happily on parental leave. So I am swooping in to deliver this report on his behalf. Key to this report is that we came to the December 2024 briefing and we committed to 3 actions to move this project forward, and that was to understand how many properties require intervention versus those that can be corrected at their property boundaries, to understand the costs of a potential communal scheme, and to seek direction from the elected members on an appropriate approach. So we brought the outcome of those findings to the briefing earlier this month, and they were publicly excluded due to the sensitivity around those specific properties. But the key findings were that all residential properties in Paparoa can resolve their wastewater issues independently without the need for a communal system. We found that commercial properties can also correct their issues within their boundaries. However, that might find that some may face significant costs or need to operate as a dry retail only. So it would change the purpose of some existing shop fronts, and that a communal wastewater system is not necessary for the central Paparoa area. However, smaller systems could be considered for the core commercial area and a few houses facing quite expensive repairs, or if they have any redevelopment issues. So this is really focused around 7 properties. The staff recommendation is that we don't progress the construction of a communal wastewater system in Paparoa due to the small number of properties that are impacted, and that we work with those directly impacted property owners to support them through the issues facing their individual properties. I have got questions from Councillor Howard and Councillor Vincent, which I'll answer, and then I'll open up to further questions. So Councillor Howard asked, is there any chance that there were development contributions collected for these 7 properties to help mitigate the cost for the ratepayers, or did their initial construction precede those? So yes, their construction preceded DC collections, but to have development contributions scheduled, you need to have a project in the long-term plan to be paid by those development contributions, and there was only money put in this financial year for investigation of a scheme. So 150,000 was put aside for that. So we have significantly done this under budget, but we've only done the investigation at this point. Councillor Vincent asked quite a few questions, so I'll just go through them now. So why or how has it taken several years to get to this conclusion? So in 2018, KDC Wastewater bylaw officers visited the properties and assessed them in the township, and they at that time identified problems involving damage to septic tanks and drains, which may be repaired, and then did further testing, and as a result of those findings, the property owners were instructed to remedy those issues, and as a result, some of them have actually completed that work. I can't tell you what happened between 2018 and September 2024, which is when, so my team picked this up in July last year, and so we started working to investigate those specific properties, and identified that 5 properties failed and that 2 probably failed, and 6 were assessed as inconclusive. We think that there was a strong drive from the community to find a solution, and we probably missed an opportunity to dive into that solution early on. And another factor is that we think probably that the 3 waters reform was on the horizon, and staff were more open to investigating infrastructure solutions that had bigger price tags at the time. But yeah, because of staff turnover, I don't have the history between 2018, and when my team picked that up in July last year. Question 2 was, there's been active involvement from leadership around the community, except for this last stage, and was that a waste of time? So that's definitely not a waste of time, Councillor Vincent. We've taken all of the previous engagement that we've done with that community into account, and that's been, part of our reporting to council, so it's been part of the option papers for your consideration. The briefing report in December was public to make sure that the community could keep abreast of what we were doing. But because the recent work has been around specific property owners, it was sensitive to nature. So we wanted to engage with those affected property owners first on an individual basis. And it wasn't appropriate to engage wider until we basically get this direction from you today and engage with the wider community based on today's outcome. You then asked, the financial costs have been scoped, but what about scoping impacts of our environmental and community benefits with future in mind? So we have, we're saying that a well-functioning, fit-for-purpose on-site wastewater system will have less than minor environmental effects, and we know that KDC bylaws and monitoring uphold strong environmental standards. We can tell that Mark has considered Paparoa's community's current feel, and his report definitely notes a mix of retail offerings similar to what's presently on offer, and could continue to provide. So he provided options of, where restaurants could be located in the future, and that development could happen further up Franklin Road for expansion. Significant commercial retail growth in Paparoa is not predicted or enabled through the district plan, and the lots that are proposed to be upzoned are large enough to host on-site wastewater. So we feel that we have sort of thought about the future there. And then number 4, second to last question, bearing in mind that Paparoa is just more than half a dozen small unserved rural communities that sit adjacent to the Kaipara Harbour, what can we learn from this exercise for dealing with such issues in the future? So we've learned that the bylaw and monitoring processes in place for KDC are working, and that we can intervene at the right time to reduce environmental harm and public health issues. Where possible, we've also gained some conclusive evidence that defines the problem as key to producing a timely decision, and it's focused on a small amount of people, properties. But I do agree that really we need to make sure that we understand the problem and make sure it's well defined before we jump into solutions and invest a bit of money. And one of my biggest learnings across this is that staff turnover really negatively impacts our deliver. So, we've had successive managers that have led this piece of work, and that's really sort of lost a bit of context and a little bit of history. So I guess retaining key staff for continuity is a good lesson learned there as well. And then your final question, Councillor Vincent, what could council do to support people needing expensive work done but don't have the funds to do in the future? Well, so that's one of the next steps. So basically, once council confirms its decision now about whether or not we expect those properties to self-resolve or whether or not we want to invest in a communal system, we will work with each of those property owners to manage those costs and to find a way to achieve the desired outcomes for them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Councillor Naya?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Haley. I just have a couple of questions. Obviously, the solution which is recommended is not palatable to me, but you did mention that community solution was offered and ignored, and you missed the opportunity. So first question is, obviously, I don't understand why that cannot be resurrected. If they have given you a solution as a council, we have overlooked it. Why can't we get it again and take it with a pinch of salt and say sorry? Why can't we do it again?
Yeah, so through the chair, my understanding is that we've had a lot of solutions proposed by the community. And what we've done is we've taken all of that and we've investigated on what a communal system could cost and how that would be paid for. So while we, have gone back and forth the community and talked about lots of, potential different options that they've suggested, through this investigation where we've gone out and done dye testing and worked with the individual property owners, we've identified that either a small communal system in the realms of, I think it was about $1.5 million, could work, but that would mean that each property would have to contribute $30,000 to that communal system, or it's better for those 7 properties to self-resolve. And indeed, some of them are on their way to that at the moment.
If I may, second question, as the last question, Mr. Mayor, is more to do with, the new motorway and all those things we are talking about of Kaipara being vibrant and growing and whatnot. So the motorway comes to Dagaville through Paparoa. So how can we say that Paparoa is not growing and the 7 properties will stay 7 properties? I mean, we gave them hope. We had a presentation by Anin Nama for almost 2 hours saying that that's what we are going for. And now we are, after 6 years, we are saying we are not doing anything. It's a shame on council. I mean, I don't understand how to describe it. So why we have to restrict ourselves to 7 properties bearing when we did so many wastewater plant, Dagaville, Mangawhai wastewater, where it was spread across the district.
I think that question was previously answered in any case about cost versus practicality when you're looking at only how many? 7 properties?
7 properties.
Yeah.
7 properties. Any further questions? Okay, thank you, Hayley. Look, I've read the report and I've followed this with interest. It's not a nice situation for some of these people that have these failed septic systems, but life's full of risk, and I think staff have had a good look at it and what the best options are, and I think they've come up with what I would support. I still think it's good that staff will be able to help in a collaborative approach to help these people achieve what they need to at the best possible price and using the best possible, perhaps, technology. I mean, I follow with interest some of this stuff. I mean, you've got very efficient things like incineration toilets out there that might meet the requirements that are required here. I mean, there are options, and I hope that our staff have an open mind to cost-effective, good solutions here, and work with these people on their solutions. Thank you. Speaking of the statement, which is Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I agree. I think that there's been a long history here and it's been well worked through. We've got a good range of options. I do have a fear that some of these people may just find a replacement system or on their own personal property a little bit beyond them, but I take heart in the fact that council will communicate and will work with them, and hopefully we all work together to find the right solution. So we've got to do it. It's got to be done. It's just a pity that the system that went in, whenever it did, wasn't foolproof. Thank you.
Councillor Paparoa.
Yeah, through the chair, I just wanted to say that when this was first brought to our table, I was quite, I wasn't really too thrilled with the huge amounts that we were going to be looking at potentially funding for these properties. As time's gone on and after reading the report, the first thing that I want to say is that I've seen many instances where we have funded wastewater disposal, and we've funded it not on the basis of what's happening now and how many properties there are now, but looking ahead to the future potential. And then secondly, the paper, there's a number of different scenarios, and thank you to the staff for putting this together, because I thought that this was quite a really thorough paper. It's gone really in depth into all the different scenarios, and the staff have really thought about it and obviously crunched the numbers, because we've got some costs there to consider. And I hear what everyone's saying with the local waters done wells now, the issue that we're trying to tackle, and this sort of came about as part of the three waters. But reading between the lines and potentially what these properties are going to have to face, and I'm reading that some of them won't actually have the area within their properties to be able to put some of the systems in, and that some of the costs are just going to be prohibitive. There's also the lack of foresight in the commercial investment for the council. So what does this mean? And just mean that those businesses are very limited and constrained in their ability to be able to cater to a lot more different scenarios and different business models because of the lack, because they're going to be dry, as described in the paper. I think that we can't just walk away and say, oh, well, we're going to pay some lip service and tick some boxes to help them, when we already can see that a lot of the issue is the upfront costs and the capital. I just wonder if we can potentially park this decision and then have a look at what we can do potentially after we've moved through the local waters done well, and then pick this up again. Because what I can see from this is that one of the scenarios after local waters done well could potentially be us funding some sort of debt, and then they pay it off over time, similar to what we had for, I think it was for Mangawhai, and putting that on the title, so that if it's ever sold, it's either transferred to the new owner, or they're having to pay it out of a lump sum when they sell the property. I think that we have the opportunity to be able to give them that without them having to go to a bank and get a whopping big bank loan and all of that. So I don't know. I'm not comfortable with just walking away from this. So I'll unfortunately have to vote for it, but I would like for us to maybe put this on, leave it where it lies on the table, and then have another conversation down the track. I think that's a little bit better than us just cutting it off now, when we don't really know what this whole local waters done well is going to look like either. And it might be that by the time we've amalgamated with another council or aligned with another council, that may open up greater opportunities for this community. Thank you.
Can I just, before I take Councillor Vincent's statement, can I just ask staff where we're at in terms of, I believe we've been hanging off from putting abatement notices, etc. It's become a health issue that NRC is involved in. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll see if I can bring in Hayley on this one.
Through the chair, my understanding is that all of these properties do have notices on them, and I fully appreciate and understand Councillor Paniora's points. So those are all options that we would work with each individual property owner on how to self-resolve, or how to work with adjacent property owners or other land in and around their property, and how to work with them to achieve those costs as well. So we're definitely thinking about those properties and how to continue to enable them to operate and to be in that location.
Thank you, Hayley. Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think at this stage, I would like to propose, I'm not sure if it qualifies as an amendment or as a procedural motion. So if I can read out what it is, and then seek your guidance, because I'm not sure if it quite complies as a procedural motion, given that I've added a little bit onto the end of it. What it is that council leaves this item to lie on the table until the next available meeting in order to provide council with the opportunity to consult with the key stakeholders, including the Paparoa Wastewater Group, before any decision is taken. Would you allow me just to expand that a little to explain the context a little?
Sure.
So what I'm thinking is that there is a group of public-minded citizens who've been involved in this for many years before the last turnover in staff, of trying to come up with a solution. They went to the trouble of, they got $25,000 from Foundation North to fund a survey, community survey being carried out on people's attitudes towards the desirability or otherwise of having some form of communal scheme operating. And they have been plugging away with, I think, with dark glasses on, because they couldn't see what has now become apparent to those who've done closer investigations. They are still wanting the best for their community. And I think that it would be good to connect with them about the situation we're now in. And also there is a bunch of other property holders there, while their own individual system isn't caught in the net, if you like. They nonetheless will be affected if there are shops having to close down or reduce services. And I think it would be beneficial to try and get the community on board with this, because to me, the maths are pretty inescapable, because you could either spend, say, $30,000 on fixing up your system, or spend $30,000 this year and slightly less the next year and slightly less the next year. So like it'd be a much more expensive approach. So I was interested in the least cost approach. So what I'm coming from is the perspective of trying to bring the community along with us, rather than simply get to the crunchy stuff, ignore the community and say, here you are, okay? Because it affects more than just the individual properties that are going to have to do upgrading work. So that's the reason why I suggest we leave this item to lie on the table to enable that to take place. But of course, it won't go anywhere if I don't get a seconder.
Do we have a seconder?
I can second it.
So now,
Let me ask you a question ahead of that before we take a vote on that.
what's our procedure?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Interesting thing here, Councillor Vincent. Lying on the table is a procedural motion. However, you've explained your reasoning behind that. So given that you've asked for it to be laid on the table, I would call that a procedural motion, and it's until I first acknowledging the additional information you've put there. Okay, so if you treat it as a procedural motion, Mr. Mayor, you have flexibility in the space to agree that it continue or not. It has been seconded. It is pretty much up to you if you want to continue with the procedural motion. What I would say though, with the procedural motion, once it's seconded, it does need to be addressed without discussion.
That was quite clever on my part then, wasn't it?
Right.
My only concern is timelines. Whatever for the community consultant.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, do you mind if we sort of break from tradition a little bit here to find a way through?
Look, why don't we have an adjournment and we have a discussion off the line and come back?
If you wish, that's fine. We can adjourn.
Yeah, let's have an adjournment, have a cup of tea, 10 minutes, and we'll have a bit of a chat and come back and resolve it. Come back.
10 minutes, everybody online.
We'll come back at 11:25. Let's reconvene. Back to item 0.5 Paparoa State Update Decision. We've had a bit of a chat during the cup of coffee.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I could just jump in here for a sec. So looking at the motion that Councillor Vincent was putting forward, there was no clarity in my mind. It kind of blew the distance between a procedural motion versus an amendment. And so for that fact, I think we'll start again. So rule it out for now. And we'll go back to the start of that process. It would be the sensible thing, which means that particular discussion will be null and void for now. And we're just going to pass back to Councillor Vincent, who may want to think about that. And go.
Well, I'm so totally crestfallen about that. Lapse on my part and not managing to comply fully with standing orders. However, I'll just pick that on the chin. I do have in mind an alternative amendment to the motion, which I've had some discussion at the top table. I'll ask our minute person to read it out.
Share it if you want, and then read it.
For those online, we'll just get it up on the screen for you.
Right, that's good.
Yes.
Approved.
Okay, so Councillor Vincent, what you're saying is A remains the same as it was before in the council report, and then B, you're directing staff to work with affected property owners in the Paparoa Wastewater Group to support property owners in working through the issues facing their systems.
Actually, yeah, I think it's about the best we can do with it now, because it doesn't fully take into account the impacts on those who don't have a problem with their system, but will be affected by any reduction in service, if you like, through the little commercial area. But
are you happy to move that as an amendment?
Move that.
Mr. Mayor, we have an amendment on the table now. You need to call for a second.
Who can second it? Councillor Howard Coop.
Yeah, Howard was the second of the original.
Yeah. I can't. Councillor Williams. Yep. Okay, so now where do we go through
So
to?
we've got an amendment on the table now, Mr. Mayor, and Councillor Vincent can do that.
Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yep, well, I think this amendment would go some way to assuage the concerns of those in the community who have invested a lot of time and effort in trying to find the right situation without having the benefit of all the facts. They've now become apparent after however many years it is. So at least this is a way of coming to a conclusion, I believe. It's unfortunate that it's taken the path that it has, and this may go some way to remedy things. I'm thinking from the point of view of the council's relationship with the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I concur with Councillor Vincent, the points that he's made. I think it's the best way forward for us as a council and interfacing with Paparoa ratepayers and residents. So, yeah, I'll support it fully.
Councillor Paparoa.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. This
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Paparoa.
Councillor Paparoa, I am sorry.
Wait, no, my bad.
No, sorry. Carry on.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm speaking to the amendment. Yeah, based on the report that I read, this is exactly what was in the original paper. It's just making it more clear in this recommendation that that's what's going to happen. That was already, I wouldn't consider this to be an amendment, just based off of what was written in the report. And so I can't support this motion, this amendment, sorry.
Any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor No.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I sound like a broken record, but whenever we talk about community wastewater projects, we had it in not Glenskilly, Bailey's Beach, working very well. We saw in Tikopuru, they had a wastewater scheme, and I think the council probably doesn't do any favors by getting into it. I also see that the wastewater projects in all of the West Mangatroto, Dagaville, Tikopuru, Paparoa, they are suffering, and the money is sitting there unspent. So I'm the last person to say that don't do anything for Paparoa. I think Paparoa is one place which is not the hub, but it's the way the whole traffic is going to come from Brendovin to Dagaville or Kaipara or Greater Kaipara. So I'm all in favor of doing something for residents of Paparoa, even if it is after 6 years. So I cannot vote for this amendment, which is just an eyewash, just putting it in better picture, because Paparoa progressive people, they have been in touch, and we are doing nothing new. So I think we are just wasting people time, and a lot of money has been spent. I would like to know how much consultant we have already used and spent to come to a procedure that we can't do anything. And we are dealing with 7 ratepayers, not 17,000, which we promised to look after. So I'm very disappointed with the whole process. And also I'm not doing this amendment. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, I'm going to speak. Yeah, like I think the amendment's a smart move because it involves the community who have concerns around their township. It's almost unfortunate that the requirements under the Health Act, I guess you call it, requires that this action has to happen sooner than later, because I think, you know, looking ahead, Paparoa's got a great future with development that's going to occur. Maybe that could have solved the problem later on, but short term it has to be solved now. And what Councillor Vincent's amended motion does is it involves all community players there to be talked to, consulted and collaborated with in a solution. I think that's a good thing. So I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour raise their hand and say aye.
By division.
By division, that's fine. Thank you, Alana.
Councillor Howard.
Or,
Deputy Mayor Larson.
or
Councillor Manderson.
Out.
Abstain, Councillor Manderson, or?
I don't have a vote one way or the other.
it's abstained.
Abstain. Councillor Nair.
Against.
Councillor Peniora.
Against.
Councillor Vincent.
Or,
Councillor Williams.
For.
Councillor Wilson Collins.
For.
Mayor Jepson.
For. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, that's the amendment that's been carried, so you need to put the main motion now as the main motion. So we've gone through an amendment process, and now the amendment's been carried, so you need to put the motion again as the main motion and vote on that.
Okay. Let's put that main motion now for the vote. So all those in favour raise their hand. So aye. Aye. Against. Motion carried. Okay. 4.6 recommendation for an increase in the contract value of the contract 996 parks and open spaces maintenance contract. Can I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Howard, can I have a seconder? I'll second it. Thank you. Okay, we have presenting this item Nick Bennett and Glynis McCarthy, please.
Good morning, Your Worship and elected members. I'll take the paper as read. And just a quick summary. Parks contract was signed back in October 2022, and at that stage, the estimated contract value was $5,426,134. It's made up of two components, a lump sum component and a chargeable component. The chargeable component at the time was assessed. Lump sum component is a measure and value, and that was a fixed component throughout the contract. What we're seeking today is to increase that contract value, the 5.4 million by $580,000 to see out the end of this financial year, and looking to get approved the contract value for 25-26 of $2 million and $55,840 for the following financial year. Should point out that the $580,000 that takes the contract value to the end of this financial year is budgeted.
Thank you. Any questions, Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My questions are, who checks the works that is done by the Downer Parks team? And is there an expectation that the Downers Park team will give jobs to local contractors at a certain percentage, or is that different to what the roading crew do? I just wanted to get my head around how the contract works. Sorry, I didn't send it through previously.
Through the Mayor, should I start the answer to that one? We have two parks officers, one that looks after the East Coast and one that looks after the West Coast. Part of their core role is to go out and do a quality assurance on the work that is being done, as well as health and safety observations of the work that is being done. In part to the second question, this contract, because of its age, didn't have an explicit clause about the percentage in terms of local contractors. But in the briefing that I gave earlier this month, Downers, in fact, work very closely with a number of local contractors, and we also work very closely with a number of local contracts and are looking for opportunities to build that.
Thank you.
Further questions, Councillor Nair?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question. I mean, now I think every councillor is used to getting all these amendments whereby the increases come in the contract value, and we have been doing it just as a part of process. But are there any specific reasons you assign to it?
Yes, absolutely. Certainly, we did a lot of work after Cyclone Gabriel that wasn't anticipated. We've had additional maintenance works, we've had additional assets that have been added to this contract from the original time that it was set. So don't forget, the contract value was set at the time that the contract was started. And now, of course, we're 3 years down, 3 years into that contract. So there's been a number of things that have happened in that time period.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you, staff. Okay, Councillor Howard, your move statement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I think as much as anything else, I think it's a procedural process to update this, and I don't think it requires further conversation.
Okay, thank you. I would agree with that. I will not be making any further statement. Any other elected members wish to speak? So Naya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just adding to what Councillor Howard said, I mean, it is procedural, it is process, but as you would have noticed in my questioning, almost every item where the money is involved, it is more than $500,000. We have to know as a governance the reasons for that exceed. I mean, I know there are contingencies in contract; they are fully utilized. But if we pay something more, we, as a responsible councillor, we must question the reasons for that. Thank you.
Any other statements out there? Okay. Councillor Howard, right to reply.
Nothing further to add, Your Honour.
Okay, let's put it to the vote. All those in favour raise their hand and say aye. Aye. Those against? Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda is item 4.7 and 4.8. I want to run them together if I have agreement by the elected members.
Yep, I'm fine.
So I'll move that. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Nair. Welcome Kurt Martin to the table to talk to these two items, 4.7 and 4.8. Thank you, Kurt.
Morning, councillors. We're talking to both papers at the same time, yep. Same issues. Both of these have been initiated by the adjacent landowners, so just some further instances of where the formed road is encroaching onto the adjacent private property. And that's been picked up by a survey as a result of proposed developments. The first one on Oneriri Road has been going since 2020. It's taken a long time. I think the landowners there, based on recent subdivisions, were expecting significantly greater compensation if council was to purchase the land than what was deemed reasonable. A lot of negotiations. So for the first one, I think in summary, if you look on page 107 on Oneriri Road, effectively the road is running through what is shown in section 1 and figure 2, where the legal road reserve is actually section 3. So the proposal is that council will purchase section 1 of the adjacent landowner and will vest what is the unformed road reserve shown as section 3 to the adjacent property owner, and that will be amalgamated into the larger title, so it won't be a standalone lot, and will pay $10,000 injurious affection. And the landowners have agreed to share the costs, the council's costs, legal costs, etc., 50-50. The second one, Lawrence Road. The picture on page, best shown on page 1 through 3, shows the sections in discussion. Yeah, so there's two areas, again, where the formed road is encroaching onto the adjacent private property. Although noting that a previous landowner has gone and built some buildings on council's road reserve, the unformed road reserve. But what we're proposing here is a straight swap. Effectively, council will acquire sections 4 and 5, and we will be exchanging that for sections 3 and 6. The areas that council acquiring are slightly greater than what we'd be vesting, so there's a slight win for council in that regard, and the landowners have said that they're not seeking any compensation for that, and that they will also pay for all of council's costs associated with this process. So it's a zero cost to council.
Thank you for those explanations for these two motions. Is there any questions of Kurt regarding these two? Councillor Naya.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just clarification, Kurt. I mean, it's good to see all in quick succession. I haven't seen 3 proposals for stopping exchange. How long normally we take to process them?
Through the chair, I mean, ultimately, you know, once we've agreed with the landowners, which normally takes the time, we've done that. If approved by council, the agreement will be signed by the chief executive, and then survey plans get drafted up, to be precise. It then needs to go to the Minister of Lands for their approval, but that's normally a formality. We're not stopping a public road. We're effectively just merely realigning it, so we're not affecting public access. But that takes quite a few months to go through that process and get the Minister's approval, which is the final approval required before we can complete those adjustments.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you, Kurt. Okay, move of those, I think that's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to make any further comment. Second statement, Councillor Naya.
No, I think it's good to see. I think we are, as long as we are making it, the whole process simpler, faster and friendlier, nobody loses. So yeah, all for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected members wish to speak? All right, let's put it to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand and say aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. Okay, just through with the elected members' agreement, I'd like to run the next two together as well. Emergency works, remediation, partial land acquisition, or road realignment, Bickerstaffe Road, and road realignment, Whātua Road. I'll move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Naya, thank you. So we have Tim Washington to present these, please.
Yeah, I believe Kurt's going to...
Oh, Kurt's standing in for this one? Okay, thank you, Kurt.
And Tim's going to join him.
Oh, Tim's joining him.
Thank you once again. I've got Tim up here there. He's got more technical background than me. In case you've got any difficult questions, I'll pass you over to Tim. So both of these are to do with the Emergency Works Program. And it's, Blair's been managing in this and doing a good job. Has identified that the most cost-effective option for council in both these instances is to realign the road away from the slip. The alternative option would be to construct a lot more costly retaining structures within the existing road reserve. In both instances, adjacent landowners have been supportive of there, but it essentially requires council to purchase some land, which will become road reserve, and the value of that land will be determined by registered valuers according to the Public Works Act once the final area of land is known and the project is complete. But essentially saving council quite a bit of money not having to construct those large retaining structures.
Any questions regarding these two? Can I just ask one? Yeah, when you say save the council money, is this, some of this emergency work still under external funding?
Yes, this is all part of the Emergency Works Program, so it's all fully funded via the the subsidised Emergency Works Program.
This is in relation to Gabriel, is it? One of the major slips? Two slips?
Cyclone Gabriel slips.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Any other questions?
No questions, sir.
Councillor Naya?
Thank you, Mr. Just a quick one. So these emergency works, what we're doing, are they like phase 3 or are they is involving design, or is it just slip work?
Through the chair, no, so that's what we are term as the phase 3 works. They've all had geotechnical investigations and options assessments to determine the most cost effective option and been specifically designed by WSP as consultants in this regard.
So this process also takes time?
Yeah, the designs are complete and we're ready to go. We just need approval from council and we can get on and construct the works.
Thank you.
Any other further questions? Thank you, staff. Stand down. Yep. Okay. We have a statement which is mine. Look, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. It's part of that ongoing work that, gosh, it's still going on after how many years, we've had such major damage to some of the roading and some of these big slips. Take time to work out what is the best way to deal with them, and two, sometimes you have to take these measures where you negotiate with landowners to get the best solution. So I'll leave it at that. Second is statement, Councillor Naya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, emergency works is one which brings the red light on. And good to see that things are happening. I think there's much more to be done and much more money to be spent, about $7 million. I'm looking forward to these things happening in this year rather than the next term, because it has been 2.5 years. So that's my desire, and hopefully staff will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected members wish to speak? No, okay, I won't add to it, so I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, local waters, establishment of a local waters Dunwell working group. I'll move that. And when I move it, I'm going to name propose the working party, which I wish to be myself, Councillor Williams and Councillor Larson. Do I have a seconder for that motion?
Local Mangawhai done well, got it.
Councillor Larson.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's me.
Jason Maris is presenting this one, yep.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking to it. The report's very self-explanatory. It's quite clear what you've been asked to do. Just by way of background, this came out of the Northland Forward Together meeting some time ago, maybe a month ago now. And it is a mechanism to try and get the members working together and the councils working together in a better space as far as local water's done well. What I can tell you is so far, Whangarei District Council had their meeting yesterday. They have appointed the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Mackenzie to their group. And the Far North District Council will be meeting next week, I believe, for their meeting to do same. As soon as we have the names, we are going to set the Waiwhanga District Council as a secretariat. We'll set up meetings to get the show on the road, for want of a better phrase. Mr. Mayor, I think it's clear in the report, so happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Okay, Councillor Nye, you have a question.
Just a quick question. Are we not putting the cart before the horse? Local water done well is not yet decided. We don't know who is going to do the work, and we are putting a working group.
Thank you, Councillor. No, we're not putting the cart before the horse at all. We've got to do a water services delivery plan by the start of September. We are consulting with the community as we speak on the preferred option for Kaipara District Council. It's important that we get a working group together, working party together, so that we can make more progress in that space prior to the statutory timeframes to deliver our water services delivery plan.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to ask a question? Okay.
Myself.
Councillor Paparoa, you have your hand up there.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, Jason, in terms of the recommendation when it says, so is that in a hierarchical order from A down through to J? Because, for example, the recommendation is that the Kaipara District Council agrees the draft terms of reference for the joint working group, and then agrees to appoint an independent qualified expert, and then agrees that the Whangarei District Council, so when it says agree, the council agrees, is that basically giving delegated authority for all of A through J to essentially this working group that is only comprised of Mangawhai councillors without any input from Paparoa or the Wairoa ward or the Māori ward? Is that correct? Is that the correct effect of this recommendation?
For you, Mr. Mayor, so the recommendations are there in front of you. That's what you're deciding today. And the working party is up to the council to determine.
You never answered my question. It's clearly
Can you reframe your question so it's clear for me then, please, Councillor Paparoa?
So are we agreeing that essentially the working party will have delegated authority for things like going to other councils and providing recommendations for future decision making? So are they now representing us as the council and then going to meetings with other councils to decide on, make recommendations, and at what point does this come back to council for endorsement? Is it just when it's all been agreed and everything's basically already agreed and completed?
Councillor Paparoa, thank you. I think your questions are answered in the report in the terms of reference. However, what you're doing is you're agreeing a working party membership to go to a joint working party of all of the councils to work together on the local waters done well. There is no decision-making element under that working party. All decisions will come back. They will make recommendations to each individual council, and all decisions around this will come back to each individual council.
But it says that H notes that the working group will make recommendations to each council for future decision making. So to what extent does that apply?
That's what you said. It's what I just said, though, Councillor Paparoa.
But that has the effect of essentially making decisions on our behalf, because we'll be then going to other councils and recommending a course of a future decision making. My second question is this orthodox to have only one ward represented that's created, a working group created from one ward only and leaving out 3 other wards? Particularly with something so significant as local waters done well?
Mr. Mayor, look, this is the decision of the council. So whatever the council decides and whatever membership they would like to see in the working party is what has been asked for. I have no.
You mean the mayor? Cool, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, any other further questions? All right, thank you, leave a statement. As far as I'm concerned, the Local Waters Done Well Working Group is an extension of, in terms of my participation, is an extension of so much that we've been involved in having to try and work through. My CE, Jason Maris, has been extremely, his time has been taken up big time discussing Local Waters Done Well with our fellow CEs. That would be correct, wouldn't it, Mr. Maris?
Yes, Mr. Blair.
So this party is working party will basically be working quite a bit with these CEs and some of the work they've done. We don't actually have a clear direction yet on what we are going to end up with. But whatever we end up with, we will have to come back to our council for their endorsement or otherwise. So it's ongoing. Okay, second statement, Councillor Larson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I've been nominated by the Mayor to go on to this working group. I'm happy to do that. I don't see it as a parochial thing at all. It's going to involve looking at the water services needs across our entire district, and there are many, and they are varied, extend across the width and breadth of the whole district. So I'm sure we'll be considering all of that group. Thank you.
Okay, and the other elected members wish to speak. Councillor Paparoa, followed by Councillor Vincent, followed by Councillor Naya.
Yeah, through the chair, I'm really not happy, obviously, with the makeup of this committee. It's completely unequitable, it's unfair, and it lacks representation from each of the wards. I understand that the rationale, according to the paper for it, was that not all of the councillors would be available to attend the meetings. Well, that was a complete assumption on the part of the report writer, and no doubt with input and involvement from the Mayor. So my understanding is that every meeting convened of the council is open for all councillors to attend. So I expect to be, whether I'm officially in that working party or not, I expect to be sent the invites for all of the different meetings of this working party and the same meetings that they attend, and I'll make my best endeavours, I'll use my best endeavours to attend those on behalf of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Vincent was next.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, wishing to cast aspersions on the merits of the elected members who've been nominated. I do wish to record my disappointment that there wasn't net wasn't cast a bit wider across the district to take into account better the local knowledge which members from other areas might have. And I mean, I have to refer to my honorary degree in engineering water services that I've achieved through my hard endeavours and enterprise in recent times. So yeah, so I'm just disappointed that that's the way it turns out, and I don't think it's a good look. And yeah, my calendar has freed up in recent times, and I certainly would have been available to participate more fully. Thank you.
Councillor Naya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so I do share the disappointments of Councillor Paparoa and Councillor Vincent in one breath. But in saying that, I'm also worried. It is nitpicking, it's handpicking all those councillors from Mangawhai. And local water is done well, has to be done well. Say an external consultant with no qualification in water being putting in the group. The councillors obviously have some pet projects in Mangawhai to be put forward to the joint working group. So, I mean, it's just a repeat of what things happening in the past, which is causing hardship to the ratepayers of whole Kaipara, whether the projects are in Mangawhai or elsewhere. So, no, very disappointed. I will not be supporting it. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, movers right a reply. Oh, Councillor Erin Wilson-Collins, sorry, Councillor, I didn't see your hand up there.
Thank you, that's all right. I just wanted to talk on what Councillor Paniora and Councillor Vincent have raised. It is a shame that we don't have representation across the district for such an important working party, for those reasons that they've both raised. Thank you.
Yeah, look, when you get elected, you actually represent your whole district, so it's not about parochialism here. I have a lot of faith in the skills of the people I've selected to be on this working party, particularly Rachel Williams avails herself of many of the numbers involved in some of our other issues, and she certainly spends the time looking at them. So I think she'll be a valuable member there, and I mean, for me, I have to be on there essentially. So I've selected who I think will best represent us at that table. Thank you. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour raise their hand. So aye. Those against?
Against.
Distinction.
Division.
Division.
Councillor Howard.
Or.
Deputy Mayor Larson.
Or.
Councillor Manderson.
Aye.
Councillor Nair.
Against.
Councillor Paniora.
Against.
Councillor Vincent.
For.
Councillor Williams. Councillor Wilson-Collins.
Against.
Mayor Jepson.
For. No, motion carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 4.12. Mangawhai Wastewater Scheme Working Group Establishment. I'll move this one. And I'll also like to nominate Mike Howard as the member on that working party, on the establishment working party. Can I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Larson, thank you. So presenting this is Jason Maris.
No, it's Nick Bennett, Mr. Mayor.
Oh,
who's in front of you now.
What is too? My apologies. Welcome, Nick.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and councillors. We're sort of at a cusp of, in February 26th of the council meeting, was approved to move on with stage 2 to 5 of the Mangawhai Wastewater scheme and upgrade. This is a $9.2 million investment. It is enormously significant for Kaipara and for Mangawhai, and a high level of historical and community interest. So therefore, I'm seeking approval to establish a small independent working group that will provide strategic oversight to ensure that the project objectives are achieved and the risks are managed appropriately. What I'm asking for the council today is the approval to establish the independent working group, an appointment of elected member, to approve the appointment of Peter Nevin as the external chair, and his details are attached to the back of the paper. Agree the draft terms of reference, and finally delegate the authority to the Mayor and the CEO to make minor editorial changes to those terms of references as required.
Okay, any questions of yeah. Okay, thank you, Nick. Stand down. Okay, this is pleasing to see. I have been intensely involved in some of the discussions around the proposal for subsurface irrigation, etc. at Mangawhai, and it's good to see that the community have, big concerns, obviously, particularly after some of the past decisions that were made with wastewater, and having really good qualified people on there to put a hand over it and have some oversight I think it's quite assuring for our community. Thank you. Second statement, Councillor Larson.
And I support this approach. I think it's excellent to have the skills of Mike Howard on there and the knowledge that he's gained over a considerable period of time, really looking into the detail of this. So that will be excellent. Thank you.
The other elected members wish to speak. Councillor Naya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mangawhai Wastewater, this project is worth 70 million or $80 million in full stages. So we have approved something to set the ball rolling. I'm still not confident of the way this being handled, and we lack the skills of the water guy he has left. And we have nobody who at the council level has the expertise to deal with it. I'm also concerned about the biases of the people on the working group being conflict of interest, which can also tilt the opinions. I am very concerned about the feasibility of the project as well. And also the fact that the Mangawhai Golf Club has demanded, to my knowledge, some kind of written commitments on certain items like spray or whatever. So I don't know how far it's going to go. And I would not like to risk 9 million of ratepayers' money at this stage when the local water is done well, is in a stage of great fluidity, and we don't know who is doing what. So I don't know we should be even poking our nose into this 9 million stuff when there is a local water done well group will decide the projects, which may not be this project. So I will not be voting for it. Thank you.
Councillor Paparoa.
Through the chair, I'm glad that this is finally in the open forum. It's been behind closed doors for a long time now, moving through the process and getting all of the ticks through to now we've got the same cookie cutter exercise of developing these working groups to circumvent the system, to take away the voices of elected members around the table to contribute to these very important decisions. I'm absolutely against this. This is setting up private developers. It's essentially handing over the debt to our ratepayers to have to pay for developers projects. I think that it's tantamount to stealing our ratepayers' money right out from under them. It's completely wrong, and I don't know why the developers aren't having to foot the bill for this. It's all under the guise of the system is at capacity and more connections are required. Well, the people that are the developers that are going around building these properties should be the ones footing the bill. I don't know why our ratepayers are continually footing the bill while all the developers go cash out and then move on and then leave our ratepayers with the issue. Maybe development should actually slow down in Mangawhai if there's not enough capacity. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars. Anyway, I'm not going to go on any longer. I'm completely against such excessive, exorbitant amounts of money, talking about tens of millions here. And this is supposed to just go through quickly without any sort of media coverage around it. I think that this is a potential for another commissioner exercise that we've previously just come out of. This has the potential to land us back in hot water again, and we've got councillors around the table touting it. Oh, we've got awards and all of this stuff. It's awards for the design, for goodness sakes, not for the money that we're going to have to shell out on all of the stages of the development. Anyway, that's my 5 cents. Kia ora.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The way that I look at this is that this is actually an oversight working party to make sure that things don't go sideways. Mangawhai councillors are very aware of what has come before, and We want to make sure that it doesn't go that way again. Don't worry about that. The developers do pay contributions to the wastewater upgrades. This is an upgrade because we've got 3 plan changes that have been accepted and potentially another one on the way. So you've got to work backwards from that, and you have to do the upgrades accordingly. So this is providing oversight to something that we've already signed off on as an upgrade to the wastewater plant. That's as simple as it is to me. So I'm fully behind it.
Thank you. Anyone else want to say?
Yeah, good.
Okay, Lewis Ryder replied. Yeah, to me, it is actually all about reducing risk. It's not certainly not a panel with developers on it. and as to who pays our development contributions for connections to sewage, I think it's sitting at somewhere like 44,000 for a connection. Is that correct? So, you know, as someone who's been involved in development, it amuses me how developers get criticised, but actually they produce a product that people want to buy, and all those costs have to be met. So, and if you don't meet the demand for adequate infrastructure, well, then you get criticised as well, of course, as a council. If you look at what's happening in Paparoa with contamination from sewage, it's a big issue that you have to get it right. And I believe that this process helps us make sure that we do get our future capacity right at the right price. Okay, I'm going to adjourn, put this to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand, say aye. Aye. Those against, motion carried.
Okay.
You want to do a division? All right.
No one called for a division.
One called for a ship before I heard it.
Councillor Naya said he wanted to have his vote recorded.
Okay, I didn't see. Yeah, okay. All right, let's adjourn for lunch. We'll come back at what time?
1:45?
Maybe? 1:45?
Half an hour.
Or 45?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm reconvening this meeting. We start with the next on the agenda 5.1, which I will move. Can I call for a seconder, please? Seconder.
I did say.
Did say.
It's a no.
I think I was loud enough to be.
Okay, presenting this item is C. Maris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this report, again, is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just closing the loop regarding the judicial review process and publicly providing the decision that was made as part of that process due to the public interest in, obviously, the process and the decision. I won't go into the detail of the report because you would have all read it. The only thing that I do need to update you on is that Te Runanga or Ngāti Whātua have agreed to pay the $24,768 and have paid that amount to council. So that will close the loop for you all and for the community with this process. Happy to take any questions, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any questions, please? No questions. Okay. Leave a statement. Yeah, look, I'm pleased this process has come to a conclusion. Second statement, Councillor Naya.
I'm a bit lost. Are we same Paparoa Wastewater or something else?
No. It's the judicial review proceedings to the Ngāti Whātua District Council.
I would just say a few words on it. I mean, obviously we were something we didn't want to get into, but I think it so happened that we got into it. End of the day, we had this $160,000 bill for the ratepayers, which we could not avoid. 24,000 came back, but 140,000 or whatever, and time and money and consultants and lawyers. What end of the day, I think the referendum is coming up anyway for NRC, if I'm not wrong. So the Kaipara District people will still be able to decide on the Maori wards by referendum. Am I right, Mr. Morris?
Mr. Mayor, am I okay to answer the question?
Yeah, Councillor.
Councillor Naya, there is no referendum for the Kaipara District, but for the regional region via the Northland Regional Council, yes, that
so
is.
It will be coming to Kaipara people as well.
No.
The regional, yes, as regional.
For the regional council.
Ratepayers.
We have like John Blackwell or whatever, they are also in that voting paper. So it will be coming when you're electing a.
So bear with me, I think it's important we clarify this.
Yes.
Okay? So Kaipara District Council will have no Māori ward at the next election. So there is no voting for
I understand that.
the Kaipara District. The Northland Regional Council are doing a referendum on the Māori ward for their council, which is the Northland Regional Council. And Kaipara ratepayers will be able to vote on that for the Northland Regional Council.
So the net effect is more or less they get the dues or whatever they want to. There's an open forum for people to decide on the fact. But what I'm trying to say is whatever is done and dusted. Let's forget and move on. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to make a statement? Okay. Leader's Ryder replied. Yeah, I'm disappointed we aren't being paid the other 140,000. I think that the decision showed quite clearly that we not only weren't required to consult, but nevertheless we did. And I think the High Court challenge was entirely vexatious, in my opinion, and it's disappointing we can't cover the balance of the money for our hard-working ratepayers.
Point of order. Point of order.
I'm sorry, I'm not taking anything.
You've got to deal with the
what is your point of order?
Misrepresentation.
What is your point of order?
That state of it who makes such a representation, which in my view is misrepresentation, vexatious, would be something that would have to be ruled on by the court, and they absolutely did not rule on that, that it was vexatious.
Well,
so can you consider retracting that?
As the chair, I'm not going to accept that, Councillor Paparoa.
It doesn't matter. You're misrepresenting
opinion on the matter.
legal proceeding. You can either retract it or a code of conduct will be brought against you for
Bring
that.
the conduct. I welcome it, please.
Okay,
But
cool. So more cost to our
you're
ratepayers in an
you're actually,
investigation process
somewhat
then.
conflicted by the fact that you are the in-house counsel for Ngāti Whātua, by the way.
No, I'm
Now,
not. Thank you.
Let's move on and have the
You've
vote,
just made
please.
points of order.
What is your
You've
point of
just
order?
misrepresented my title and my work at the Runanga. I would like that statement retracted, or I'll be lodging 2 code of conducts against you for 2 clear misrepresentations.
I will consider what I've said and make a retraction later if I feel that it's necessary.
Well, you'll need to, or I'll be bringing those.
Now, let's put this to the vote, please. All those in favour, say aye. Raise a hand. Aye. Those against, motion carried. Okay. Next on the agenda, item 5.2, regional deals, Northland initial proposal. Presenting this is CE Jason Maris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do you want to get a mover and a seconder?
Yeah, I'll move that and go second that. Yep, Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So again, this is just making the documentation, closing the loop for the documentation on the regional deals paperwork that has been agreed and submitted to central government. Originally, central government wanted the paperwork to be confidential, but of course, through the passage of time, have realised that that's pretty difficult to do, and so they permitted councils to make their own decisions about that. You will recall that the Joint Regional Economic Development Committee was delegated by all the councils in the north to look after this process and make decisions regarding this. And so they were the key body, and you're represented on that committee by the mayor and the deputy mayor. And they made all the decisions. The paperwork has been submitted, and it's just closing the loop by providing the paperwork with some redacted information in it that is confidential on the public agenda. You also may recall that a media release was sent out a couple of weeks ago from the chair of the Joint Regional Economic Development Committee, making it publicly available also. So this is simply closing the loop in that space. What I would say is we are still waiting on central government and their process around their announcements. It is likely to be at the end of May. That's the last we've heard. And so we'll just hi-ho for the mo until we hear from them. Operationally, though, the team are meeting weekly and we are working with the Joint Regional Economic Development Committee on a governance model and to be ready to go if Northland is successful for a regional deal. So in the background, we're doing a bit of work to make sure we're prepared as we can be and we can adjust to whatever the government decides. I suppose that's where I'll leave it, Mr. Mayor. Happy to take any further questions.
Any questions?
So I do, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Who's leading it in terms of the collective of the committees? Who's in charge?
Okay, so from the Joint Regional Economic Development Committee, so the chair is Councillor Vucic from the Far North.
Yep.
And then obviously our membership on that committee is the mayor and deputy mayor.
Yeah.
Now that is the lead governance body, and that is the body that's been delegated to make decisions on the regional deal. And will be obviously in the future if we are successful in getting a deal.
Okay. I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, question from Councillor Nair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jason, so if we wanna close in on regional deal in terms of what we are successful, are we looking at, because when I was looking at the big paper, we were looking at very small projects like pensioner housing and all listed as what we are doing or possibly doing. Now, this was a PAX item, actually. I don't know how it ended up in the Joint Economic Forum. And there was some tourist thing, which is okay, which is very general. But do we have any specific deal per se on regional basis? Or is it just wishy-washy?
So on the agenda, there's the 2 attachments, which explains our initial proposal for a regional deal. As far as next steps go, Councillor Nair, what happens is officials and the minister are travelling through a process where they assess our proposal with all the other regional deal proposals received. They'll make a determination on whether or not we are successful or not. If we are successful, then the next steps occur where we, I believe we may have to agree an MOU, or we might have to negotiate with a negotiating party of central government to come to whatever the deal looks like in detail.
Okay.
So I think what you're talking about is the next steps after this.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of CE Maris?
Yes.
Okay, you can stay seated.
Thank you.
Move a statement. I think this is reasonably clear. I'm not going to expand on it. It's an interesting discussion, which I think all our councils and our regional council have worked pretty well together, trying to find the best deals we can for our region. Thank you. Second statement, Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess you've covered it pretty much off. I think that it's no doubt the way that things are going is the way of the future, and the government have clearly telegraphed where they want things to go. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you. Any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor Naya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I'm just looking at page 265, which, or 261 by PDF. And under Kaipara District, I was referring to the projects which we have submitted. And I'm just looking at Mangawhai Wastewater, 8 million, district-wide wastewater reticulation, 3 million, Taharoa wastewater. All those projects are already in the, I don't understand how come the regional deal is aligned with these local projects. Taharoa to Tikopulu Stop Bank, 8 million, which is probably aligned to a tax item again. So I don't understand where we see that regionality in this. I'd see that on that basis, the other councils have done a little bit better job. They're very clear in terms of what they're doing, the airport upgrade, the waterfront programs and all those, and district-wide, all those little things. I don't think Energy Bridge, like Shane Jones was talking about, all those things are really infrastructure project. What we have presented is something very local. Is that not right? And in terms of statement, all I would say that we could have probably be more specific and do things like that rather than just filling the blanks. Yeah, thank you.
Do you mind if I answer that question? I know you're in speaking, but yes. I think I should just for public transparency here. Councillor, what you're referring to is further supporting information to the regional deal. Yeah. It literally provides information and projects from our LTPs. That's all that is. It's further supporting information. On page 260, that supports information to central government about what we've got in the pipeline. Okay, so it's further supporting information. It's not necessarily what the regional deal is asking for.
Yeah,
regional deal is asking for everything ahead of that.
Yeah,
it's just supporting information. So just to be clear,
that's what I'm trying to say. Mangawhai pension housing, 1.5 million. How come they're interested in this LTP? You know. Anyway, thank you.
Anyone else wish to make a statement? Okay. Move us right to reply. I'm not going to take any further. Put this to the vote. All those in favour raise their hand and say aye. Aye. Against, motion carried. Okay. Exceptions report to be presented by CE Jason Maris. I'll move that. Can I have a seconder? So now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now I believe we've got Jesse online. Call in Jesse, who do the financial information to start with, if we could. I don't.
Thank you, Jason, and good afternoon, councillors. So in the finance section, we are reporting on the 9-month period to 31 March. The variance analysis in the report is largely the same as previous months, so I won't go into detail but can answer questions. Elected members requested that costs be outlined by ward, so you will see a new report on page 6 that we have analysed the open spaces and facilities spend according to ward, which we will endeavour to complete monthly. It is not easy for us to analyse the roading spend based on coding of the general ledger. That's due to the categories used by us and our suppliers, and a lot of it aligns with NZTA work categories. However, we are working with the roading team to get information out of the RAM database, which should show you where the work is being completed. So I'm happy to take any questions on the finances.
Any questions? So no.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of questions, Jesse. One is obviously page 3. How much penalties have been charged to make a 173K surplus on rates? Are they in line with the previous years?
So I don't have the detail of the penalties, but I can provide that outside the meeting. However, I just wanted to let you know the variance there is a number of things. So some of what makes up our rating revenue is we had new rating units in the year, so we were able to collect more rates from those rating units. We also have inside rating revenue our capital contributions, and that needs to be recoded, and we do that only at year end, and it's to do with the Mangawhai development there. So there's a few things in there which aren't really actually penalties, but the penalties themselves would be in line with previous years.
Mr. Mayor, I have a few questions, if you don't mind. It's a long report. So page 6, flood Gabriel, 6 million underspent. I was speaking to Mr. Morris anyway. I'd like to know what's happening. Do we have any plan to spend this in this year, the 6 million, or we are leaving it for next year? Because recently, I mean, the tide has turned and their flood risk is increased. So I would like to see it happen in this term. So if you can send me later on email to all the councillors.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I can just jump in there. So what we have is you will recall we have a project report that is coming to the briefing next week. The information will be in there. What I've also said is that we are getting on and doing that work.
Yeah.
It is underway currently, and you'll see that quite clearly from the project report.
That's
to briefing.
Very nice. And page 7, there are many projects which were February and March to be awarded, but it is not updated. I hope the wastewater has been awarded to Hubert because they are not updated in the comments. So the February and March recommended for awarding them. So I would like to know that they have been awarded. Maybe it's just a matter of updating it. Thank you. And lastly, Pine Beach 16075, Tinopai Wharf Road, still not. There are a few items I'd like to be updated. You can have a look off the council media. I don't want to waste everyone's time. Thank you.
Can I suggest, Councillor, you email me your specific questions?
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, can I take this opportunity? I understand that Councillor Howard, you had some questions from the exceptions report as well. I believe.
Major one, I think.
You asked about the current number of connections.
Oh, yeah.
In the detail around some of those developments.
Yep.
So let me just be with me for a second. So the RISE has been on hold since August 24, Section 91. We have no further response from the applicant to date yet. Taharoa Road, 57 lot subdivision, further information requested on 24th of Feb. Haven't received it yet, I don't believe.
But that Taharoa Road one is in the boundary of the Mangawhai wastewater treatment plant.
I have to double check that. Yes, thank you. So yes, it is. It's 57 lots.
Is that the one that some are in, some are going to be connected and some are going to be on their own?
No, that's
Mangawhai Hills.
Yeah, it's
not. Yes.
Mangawhai Central, we have requested further information, nearing completion of the first stage, which is 41 additional lots. In total, since July last year, we've had 112 lots created up until March this year. 51 of those in the Mangawhai Kaiwaka area.
Yeah.
and Dargaville 10, Otamatia 19. So that gives you an idea of where we're at. I wouldn't say it was super fast. No. You also asked about customer interactions at the top of, I think, page 15 of the 27, and particularly around the campground. We don't, the campground's really interesting, right? We generally get a flood of queries when the weather forecast turns poor, or the dates people are trying to book are already full.
Yeah.
So it's generated by circumstances at the time.
Okay.
But it wasn't related to a particular event.
It just was interesting. I thought why there would be 231 per hour.
Weather is a big kicker, actually.
Yeah. So then they ring council.
Yeah. Well, we run the bookings. So yeah. I think your question.
Also, the manager doesn't do the bookings.
So, but that's council staff. So we run that system.
Okay.
All right. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just with the underspend that we're seeing, so on the actual, the projects will come to us at the next briefing with an update as to where they're at and why things haven't perhaps progressed for us to take up the spend that we've got here. And
we're still forecasting the same underspend that we were. So we've consistently said that we'll get about 8 million of the 15 million slips program completed. The operations voting budget will be fully spent. I can't recall off the top of my head where we are with the projects, but if Hayley's there and wants to jump in, she could.
5 million, I believe.
5 million. Okay, thanks, Jessie. Appreciate that. But yeah, we're going to have another, obviously, the monthly report on the projects we're at next week as well.
And so have we also ascertained that from NZTA that our external funding for our slips will go over into the next financial year with the percentage that we have from them, the FAR rate?
So the FAR rate is remember they gave us a bonus FAR rate, which we're trying to, and we are, like we're saying, 8 million. We're trying to invest to spend more. We're working really hard to try and spend as much as we possibly can. So that's 92, I think, from memory, is up until 30 June. And then that will drop to, I think it's 82, I believe, based on a criteria thing. But not fully across all the details.
So it will
drop, yeah.
End of the financial year.
We have requested to get extended. I don't believe we've heard yet. But again, that was obviously bonus money. But we're trying hard our best to spend as much as we can in this financial year.
Okay, thank you. Move on to Mover's statement.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that report. Second statement. This is Councillor Nair.
Well, there's a few more questions, but I mean, we'll leave it for I think one I would like to know, and maybe
this is a statement, not a question.
I'm making a statement,
right,
sir, is that there are a few items which would really like to be knocked off, which are pending. As I mentioned before, the flood protection is one. There are some on T-Koparu Stop Bank, 4 million. We need some more explanation on that. There is a reticulation. I see a lot of things which are pending in Dagaville Waste, Mangawhai Waste, all these figures appearing there. And Mr. Murray said that he will be giving an update on them. I'm really worried about some of the items not happening this year. And we never know which kind of council we're going to get next year. So I think if we can go ahead and do some knock off some of the item on the west, that'll be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected members wish to speak? Okay, Mover's right to reply, which is mine. I'm not going to make any further statement. So I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand and say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Move to the next item, which is item 5.4. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Yep. Resolutions register update. And that'll be brought to us evidently by Alana. I'll get a mover for that. Can I have a mover? Councillor Vincent, can I have a seconder? I'll second it. Okay, thank you.
All volunteers.
Chair, who was the seconder? Was it Councillor Vincent or yourself?
I was seconder. Vincent, Councillor Vincent was the mover.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the resolutions register. Just happy to take any questions.
Sorry, through the chair, I have a question.
Councillor
It's just items like the first item, 2021, Bailey's Beach Storm Event Reports. We are talking almost 3.5 years. And the last item, it says finally, I don't know, is it more technical? It doesn't look like it more technical. Then that it takes 3.5 years. The tenders are still being evaluated. What's bothering us? Why we are not doing such a small job as sandbags?
Councillor, you would have appreciated it isn't a small job at all. Technically, it's a job, but there's been quite a process to go through with the community. Yeah, I agree. It's taken a long time, but we're nearly there, and we're looking forward to getting that work done.
Okay, any other questions, please?
I had another question. Sorry. This again, then water storage indicator Wairoa Dam.
Which item are you on there, Councillor?
It's 5.9, item 2. So this says it's completed. So obviously we are not doing any report on this dam. We have never presented a report on Wairoa Dam. I have requested it for the sake of councillors. A Lagoma request. I've got 3 boxes of information on Wairoa Dam from Regional Council and 2 boxes probably from KDC. It is a very good proposal, and why it has been neglected. Wairoa Dam. It was passed by the previous council in 2022, but then totally ignored by this council. Any reasons?
You're kind of asking more than what the resolution register provides. What we're saying in the resolution register, and you'll see by reading through the process that it has taken some time to get through, and events have surpassed that particular situation. We agree that it's now completed, and that's why it's been reported to say it's completed. And we are aiming to report to you in the June workshop regarding progress on that process with the trust.
That's fine. Well, all I was saying, this item is Wairoa Dam and ends up in Taharoa. So maybe there should be 2 items. We should close the Wairoa item. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? All right. Movers right to reply, Councillor Vincent.
I have nothing to add.
Okay, I've got the seconders right reply. I have nothing to add. Is there any other elected members wish to speak? Okay, thank you. Movers right to reply yet again, Councillor Vincent.
Nothing to add. Yeah.
Okay, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand, say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Thank you. So now I move to go into publicly excluded. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Naya. All those in favour, raise their hand and say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Confirm the PEX minutes from the 26th.
Need to moment to stop the live stream.
Oh.
Make that recording.